And thanks for your time here on The Pulse. And this afternoon, the Speaker of Parliament is stoking public debate with the latest pronouncement in Parliament today, stating that the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor was an exercise in futility. Well, just a fortnight ago, the Special Prosecutor, Kisi Ejabing, held a news conference expressing his own frustrations over why some bureaucratic hurdles may be inhibiting him in the discharge of his duties.
Wait, let us bring before you the body of our investigation as evidence. And if you look at it and you decide that the evidence does not show up to the standard of proof required in criminal cases, then you can dismiss it. But don't prevent us from doing our work, from investigating. It is dangerous. As I said, I wasn't sounding as a prophet of doom, but there is doom looming ahead of us. That very soon, a murderer will boldly walk to court to seek an injunction. Should I feel frustrated and resign? I took an oath when I was sworn in. And in my life, when I take on the reins to do something, I do it to the best of my ability. Those who do not understand Tree, please forgive me. You see, I'm a young one. The make cry about for it. Me dear me to me. I'm reswan.
And of course, the outburst of the Special Prosecutor a fortnight ago when he raised concerns about the Speaker of Parliament today in an outburst on the floor of the House is indicating that he does not see the justification for the creation of this new office. Here's why.
For the law you passed on the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor, I did tell you that it was an act in futility. You were not going to achieve anything from that, but you went ahead to pass it. I disagreed with you, but I was alone. Well, I'm very clear in my mind that that authority is embedded in the powers of the Attorney General, constitutionally. Who delegated to who? No, but that is not what you put in the act. What you just need to do is to fund the office of the Attorney General well and remove the Minister of Justice. You separate the two. Minister of Justice is a political appointee. The Attorney General is a technical person, and he only is ranked in conditions of service to that of a Minister of State. It doesn't mean they have to be incorporated too.
Of course, these statements are beginning to stoke a lot of tension, even on the floor of the House. Let's cross over now to Parliament and get more from my colleague, Kweku Asante, who's joining us with the latest on this. And Kweku, a very rare statement from the Speaker of the House, who's been very passionate about fighting anti-corruption. But why is he of the opinion that the Office of the Special Prosecutor, quote, was an exercise in futility? Kweku, can you hear me? I'm asking why, of course, this outburst from the Speaker of the House.
If you can hear me, the point I'm making is that this comment just came out of the blue. In fact, the House was considering the anti-LGBTQ bill. There was nothing on the table about the Office of the Special Prosecutor. It was someone in making his contribution talking about the Special Prosecutor just in passing when the Speaker of Parliament went on that tirade arguing that the establishment of the office was just an act of utility which will not achieve any purpose because, in his opinion, what should really happen is the decoupling of the Attorney General's office from that of the Minister of Justice, and to give the Attorney General that much powers to be able to do the work of fighting corruption. But left to him alone, the Speaker of Parliament, he does not believe the Special Prosecutor's office can achieve anything. And that he made the point when the Special Prosecutor's bill was being considered by the House. At the time he was the second Deputy Speaker, but Parliament will not listen to him. But if they had listened to him, some of the challenges that have come up so far will not have come up. So, quite an extraordinary comment, quite an extraordinary statement that were made by the Speaker in the heat of the moment of the House, not related to the business of the House, but has really generated some concerns on the floor. I should say, though, that when the Speaker of Parliament said this, he did not elicit any comment because the subject on the floor was the anti-LGBTQ bill that the House was considering. So the House proceeded to deal with it. It's been later in the day, in fact, just about 10 minutes ago, that a special prosecutor's budget was approved by the House, a sum of a little over 140 million that both the MP and the MPs commenting on offices filed. Generally, this completely came up out of the blue, and MPs were a little taken aback, but they did not do it.
I see. And what's been the reaction so far to the statement by the Speaker? And how are, those, for instance, the members on the Constitutional Legal Affairs Committee taking this?
On the floor, they made those comments. The House moved on to consider other business. It was, like I was saying earlier on, about 15 minutes ago when the House was considering the budget, the estimates for the Special Prosecutors Act, that MPs commented generally on the work that the Special Prosecutor has been doing. In fact, of Bernard Ahiapo, the ranking member of the Legal Affairs Committee, who's argued that this government is starving the OSP of the needed funds to be able to work. And that's who has been fighting back, saying, well, it's not just an OSP problem. If all MMDAs do not get all the amount that is budgeted for. But none of them so far have gone to the meat of the comments made by the Speaker as regards to the claims that the establishment of the Office of the Special Prosecutor was an act in futility.
Right. And quickly, just hold on for me, because joining the conversation as well is lawyer Martin Pebo, a private legal practitioner. Also, just following this very latest statement we're hearing from the Speaker of the House. And Counsel, thank you for spending some time with us here on the Pulse. The statement, quite a surprise and a rare one, of course, coming through from the is also proffering some solutions or alternatives in this case. He believes that from the onset, we should have been looking at it from decoupling the Ministry of Justice and Attorney General, and instead empowering the Attorney General to become much more of a constitutional body. That's a solution to the challenge. Do you, first of all, believe that this was an exercise in futility, the setup of the Office of the Special Prosecutor?
Efo Kofi, lawyers will say, I vehemently disagree with the Speaker. Ordinarily, Mr. Speaker has been a very strong bastion of our democracy. Yeah, he's done a bit well, at least psychologically, even the fact that he's from the opposition stock, just makes the conversations and our national dialogue good. That at least somebody from the opposition too can voice his opinion, and he's in charge as Speaker. It gives our democracy a good feeling. So, generally, I'm positively disposed towards Mr. Speaker. However, on this occasion, I think Mr. Speaker misspoke. He seriously misspoke. I'm trying to see exactly where he's coming from.
But here's the potential challenge we have. We're struggling having or getting access to funding, to support the work of the Office of the Special Prosecutor. He's also complained about it, the fact that he does not have all the necessary resources to work. So why not empower, pre-standing constitutional bodies such as the Attorney General's Department so they could fight corruption some more?
No, that's not, the funding is not being the greatest challenge. Look, that's why I said this one, we have to be very brutally frank. What is the problem? The problem is not being funding per se. The problem is about the independence, the grit, that resilience of somebody who can take the necessary decisions to prosecute corruption and corruption-related offenses. So it's undisputable that over the decades, we've all agreed that usually an Attorney General who is appointed by the President and is part of the President's cabinet is not the best person to prosecute his colleagues. they don't usually do well. In the Kufuor regime, the Attorney General did well at the time. At least they prosecuted 3-4 cases there. Ibrahim Adam, Kwame Pepra, Sepayanki, and those kind of cases. But since then, we've come to agree largely. You see, when these are democracy, part of it is hinged on public opinion. So generally, we've agreed that an Attorney General in a cabinet is not positively disposed towards prosecuting his colleagues. That is the state of the public opinion. So we agree that, okay, let's give somebody who is not in cabinet. So where Mr. Speaker is coming from is difficult. And even in Mr. Speaker's bid to, make that point too strongly, then he's turning the Constitution on its head. The Constitution is very clear in Article 88 that the Attorney General is a Minister of State. Mr. Speaker is saying the Attorney General is a technical person, just give him conditions equivalent to a minister. How? The Constitution is very clear that the Attorney General is a Minister of State. Let's read out. It says, there shall be an Attorney General of Ghana who shall be a Minister of State and the principal legal advisor to the government. So the Speaker cannot be heard to say the Attorney General is just a technical person and then give him conditions akin to a Speaker of Parliament. No, and it's normal. We all get it wrong some of the time. If you let me not pretend, I go to court, I get it wrong, or sometimes even on these, shows, we may get a point or two wrong. So that's why I said generally, I like the Speaker, he does well, but this one, no, he's just misspoke. So let's come to the point. The point in this whole thing is that our public opinion is shown that Attorney Generals have generally not been positively disposed towards prosecuting their colleagues. That's why we said, let's give a separate and independent person. So to say that it's an exercise in futility is something I don't even understand. So far, yes, Mr. Jabin has had his problems, but the office is done well. Look at La Bianca, not the Damois side. Even the Damois side, even though they lost in court, I still see positive side. But look at the other side of La Bianca. Through the La Bianca case, Kisio Jabin ordered GRA to come out with a new policy on these discounts, the advanced rulings. And GRA is now implementing it. I hear it's bringing in some revenue. If you look at, even Edubois in Sicilia Adapa, even though he's not won in court, we, in the court of public opinion, we finished. And our democracy is moved forward because Madame Dapa has suffered a lot of public backlash, naming and shaming, and it's moved our democracy forward. It doesn't matter what happens finally in court. For the public, $1 million, subsequently $590,000, and then 2.8 million Ghana cedis. She can't explain. Even if later, through technicality, she wins in court, that fact will always remain, that she couldn't explain to the general public. And so our democracy is moved forward. That is accountability. Yes, I have issues with the special prosecutor, especially the way he's let off Edubois. I'm wondering whether it's because Edubois mentioned Baumier's name. Is that why Kisio Jabin is letting off Edubois? And we keep dragging him on it.
Yeah, but through a broad spectacle, looking at, the expectation, and I'm talking about the expectation looking at what the President of the Republic, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, said when he first, of course, nominated Martin Benz Kaiser Amidu. Of course, he left office with the impression that the country is not necessarily positioned to fight corruption under this regime. Then we have this special prosecutor also coming, raising same concerns about bureaucratic challenges. I just played the tape earlier there, of course, about the news conference that he held a fortnight ago, raising similar concerns. It's as though this office, whether it's finance or systematic, has a challenge that needs to be dealt with.
Oh, absolutely. For that one, let's do it. So, but we can't say because there are challenges, then close down the office. Yeah, so when maybe the speaker said it to provoke a public conversation. Otherwise, I don't understand. Look at the cases the OSP is dealt with. They've moved our democracy forward. They've increased accountability. Let's not always look at the end result that you lost the case in court or you won. No, the process. You see, when we say accountability is not always only the conviction, but even the questions you answer in court. What did you do about this? Well, so sometimes we can see some loopholes, some bad things that we done, and we can correct those, though ultimately the OSP may lose a case in court. So I agree. As for funding, we need to fund, but let's not say this office is an exercise in futility. No. So the funding issue, let's always remember that it's better to light one candle than to cast the darkness. What he has, and I have been championing, we even have signed, a petition to the president. You say, we signed a petition, 100 lawyers.
Right.
We're about submitting it 3 months ago when the OSP got about 200 new employees. So I thought the establishment budget he asked for, they will soon give it. They've not given. So we'll go ahead and present a petition. So Efo Kofi, what I'm saying is that as for funding, we have to keep fighting, but we can't say because it's not being properly funded, then that means the office is an exercise in futility. No, rather, let's count the number of cases. As I sit here, there's a case I reported to Kisi Ejabe. That's a Northern Development Authority case. The case is ongoing in Tamale. I traveled to Tamale to testify. Now, as we speak, the chief executive of the Northern Development Authority, Sumala Abdul Rahman, he had to resign some months ago. Then the 2 deputies were fired. Is that not accountability?
Right.
So for me, if you tell me the office is an exercise in futility, I will never agree. There are other examples. You remember the recent case there, Torenko, the Tema oil refinery case.
Yes.
Kisi Ejabe stepped in. Of course, I reckon that the Attorney General also did a yeoman's job. He is also stepped in. But Kisi Ejabe is also in it. And they've stopped the Torenko deal. This is a deal that I understand even Matthew Opoku Prempeh, the minister himself, is not in favor. But some other powerful people in government have been pushing the deal forward. But finally, the Attorney General stepped in, OSP also stepped in, and so at least as far as we are concerned, that deal will not come on.
Right.
They were just going to fleece us. So we can count on and on and on. For me, half a loaf is always better than no bread. Half a loaf is better than none.
And I'm grateful that you're spending some time with us, Lawyer Martin Peeble, joining us on this very conversation. We stay in the governance space and also human rights because the Commissioner of SHRAJ, Joseph Whittal, is calling for an end to the brutalities meted out to journalists in their line of duty. On the occasion to mark the 30th anniversary of SHRAJ, the Commissioner's the Commission's boss actually intimated that the fear of journalists being attacked when discharging their duties is leaving a negative impact on the delivery of their work.
Been numerous attacks on journalists in recent years, from the high-profile killing of investigative journalist Ahmed Swale to the arrest and attacks of several journalists for simply doing their jobs. The work of the Ghanaian journalist has become a dangerous venture. Speaking at the 30th anniversary of the Commission on Human Rights and Administrative Justice, SHRAJ, Joseph Whittal, who heads the commission, expressed concern about the telling effect these attacks on journalists could have on their work.
We must also do more to improve freedom of speech and the media, and in so doing, improve our ranking on the Press Freedom Index.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Chamber of Telecommunications and Media Rights Advocate Kenneth Ashigbe, who also spoke at the event, called for an end to the incessant attacks on the press and highlighted the important role journalists play in the country.
When you have the case in which the skull of my colleague from Multimedia has been broken by the police in the CID headquarters itself, then you should be worried. When you have the situation when one of my staff, and when I was at Graphic, was beaten by one of our celebrity footballers and his brother, and nothing happens to them, you should be worried.
The attacks on journalists mirror Ghana's performance on the World Press Freedom Index. The country has dropped more than 30 places of the list since 2021, falling from the 30th to 62nd position.
And of course, we'll be bringing you some updates and fallouts from that engagement on human rights here in the country. But we know that in a few days from now, the district level elections will be kickstarting across the country. And of course, we will be bringing you some interactions with the aspiring, local assembly members who have been sharing their concerns. But just before we take you around the country and bring you some of the experiences going on, there's a need for us to also talk about the NCC, which is on a drive asking for increased political participation in this season. Joining us in studio now is the chairperson of the commission, who is spending some time with us, Madam Kathleen Adi. Welcome to the Pulse. Such a pleasure to have you in studio this time round, following our last conversation online. But of course, the days are drawing closer and closer. We know that the NCC is, constitutional mandate is to promote the national, national discourse around all of these issues. What do you plan to do now that we're getting closer and closer to the election?
Thank you very much. But point of correction, we have not asked for increased political participation.
Right.
That's not what we're saying, right? We're saying that eventually, as a country, we must work ourselves to a point where we are electing the MMDCEs, the heads of the local government, must be elected. There's a gap in our governance structure, and it must be closed. Now, as to whether politicians get involved or that or not, it's really not for us to say. And because of the way that whole situation panned out the last time we were going to go on the referendum, it's very important that we make it clear that we've never taken the position that the election should be on a partisan or non-partisan basis. We are just saying that hopefully we get to a point where we are electing heads of local government so that it makes our decentralization agenda more meaningful.
I see, and probably when I talk of participation, the target is to get more and more people to be part of the process,
the
which
is to get more people to vote, but also importantly is to get more people to participate, to put themselves up to be elected. We need more upstanding, law-abiding, tax-paying citizens to take up the positions of running the assemblies. These are not paid jobs. And so anybody at all can do it, as long as you meet the qualifications. You are an upstanding citizen, you meet your tax obligations, you're a Ghanaian, of course, you have attained the age. You should be interested in how your community is run. And so, I mean, of course, at this point, we've gone past this, the point where we are now asking people to go and present themselves to be elected. At this point, we're asking people to go out and vote. As a citizen, your first contact, your first experience of democracy is at the local level. You will elect your MP. The MP will go to Accra because that's where their office is. The president's office is also in Accra. Assemblyman is in your community. Your unit committee member is right there with you. These people are supposed to receive your share of the District Assembly Common Fund, which is your share of the national cake. And they are supposed to account for how those funds are spent to you. District assemblies are responsible for the running of communities, for streetlights, for small roadworks, for sanitation, all of these things, the regulations around noise management, everything, even collection of tolls and some taxes, And so it's important that, we are interested in how they run the community.
What's your own diagnosis of the problem and the reason for which, over the years, we do not see a lot of Ghanaians show interest in the local level elections as compared to the general ones, which has got to do with the election of parliamentarians and then the president?
Well, the way I see it, generally speaking, people want to be able to hold somebody accountable. And people feel more compelled to hold accountable somebody that they have elected. And that is why you see so much pressure on members of parliament, even though they are not development agents. But they elect the people have a stronger connection to them. And so because they elect them, they can go up to them and demand accountability for them, and even demand beyond what an MP is supposed to deliver. But the heads of local governments are not elected. They are not their people, really. They don't connect to them in the same way. And I suppose if you are the heads of local government also do not have the same feeling of accountability towards the people. And so there's a disconnect there. That's why I started off by saying that there's a gap that needs to be closed. you know. So it's important to hold, to elect your assembly members, hold them to account, let them work for you in the community. But it would have been better if we were electing the head of local government. That notwithstanding, the unit committees are the lowest form of the decentralized structure. They work in the community. Citizens are supposed to know these people, engage them, organize and let them come and tell you what they are doing. The unit committee members link up with the assembly members, and they go to the assembly to ensure that the needs of the community or the district are met. The assembly structure is a replication of the national governance structure. Right. So it's the same thing happening, but closer to you. So really, truly, it should be more attractive. Yeah. But it hasn't been to date, and it is our hope that this time round, there's a lot more work going into trying to drive in the vote, bringing attention to the general public. And for the first time, we are doing jingles. I see. Just a very long time. We are doing jingles on Joy, you know. Yeah. So there's really a strong push to ensure that you know, people go out there.
And we've been speaking to some of the aspirants. One of the key challenges they raise is also about funding. Yes. Perhaps the fact that you don't have the assembly member having access to funds for development. It's the reason for which the interest is not there, because it's not a paid job, as you were indicating earlier. And also the fact that based on, you know, the non-availability of these resources, they are not able to gather more and more people around them. So there's basically no interest.
And those are real concerns that must not be brushed under the carpet. Those are real concerns that must be addressed. There are so many reforms that we need to do in the local governance sector. Right. And these reforms are sort of part of the reason why we are stagnating at the local level when it comes to governance and participation. The reforms are needed. So many different things, including remuneration, including access to funding, including the fact that sometimes the District Assembly Common Fund is spent at the center rather than deployed to the districts. Yeah. And so they are sitting there and they don't even have the funding to work. All these things need to be addressed, but that notwithstanding, we still need to elect somebody. Yeah. We still need to elect somebody. If you have built your property, and there are neighborhoods in Accra where they are, you know, a very expensive property, you need to be interested in how your community is run. If you have built your homes and others have built squatters around your homes, illegal structures around your homes, where drains are not working, streets are not working, you should be interested in how these things are, because you also pay taxes. Yes, of course, but you pay taxes. You've invested in the community, you've built a home, you live in the community, your children go to school there, you need the place to be safe and secure. You must be interested in how the assembly is running the affairs of the community. And for that reason, even with all the challenges that we face in local governance, we must still go out.
And since you're raising that point, let's then get to, you know, the civic action, what it is that we're expected to do as citizens, because many are watching and asking, well, the NCC comes around, tells us to go and participate in the exercise, but really, you know, beyond the voting, what's expected of the average citizen to sustain this push that you're carrying out?
What do you mean?
In terms of what we need to do, basically, as citizens, to sustain the interest around decentralization?
Well, there's a lot of work to be done, and NCC has a big role in that work. And we are doing the best we can under the circumstances. This time around, we are giving it a real good push. Our staff are out there in the communities, in markets, in public places. We are on radio, we are doing jingles, we are going from church to church, mosque to mosque, reminding people of their civic responsibility to go and elect assembly members. We're doing a whole lot out there. It is our hope that citizens will respond to the call. Sometimes it's due to lack of an understanding, because a lot of people feel that even if we go and elect these people, we do not know what they do, we do not know how they serve us, but these are the people who are supposed to serve you. But sometimes, you know, the understanding is not there, and that's why we are out there pushing hard, explaining to Ghanaians, trying to let people understand the important role that these officials play, and why we must ensure that we find the right people for the positions, and then we hold them to account.
Have you engaged, those who matter, the aspirants, and trying as much as possible to encourage them, even though there's no interest in following? Have you met some of them, and what are some of the personal stories
This time around, we didn't do a push in that direction because we just couldn't do the push in that direction.
Yeah.
We were rather focusing
on getting
citizens to go and vote. So that's the drive, that's the focus of it.
I'm asking the question because of, the special case for women. The case is being made that we need more women to also represent it.
That's the one area where we did a little bit of work around women because, of course, when it comes to representation, you want to ensure that the elected officials look like the population, you understand?
A fair representation.
It's a fair representation. The population looks a certain way. The represented officials must look that way. Yeah. Women face extraordinary challenges, and putting yourself up for elected office in Ghana is very difficult. That's why people don't like to do. It's really tough. If you're a woman, your burden is double, triple, quadruple because the challenges that you face are bigger than what others face. The financial challenge to start with, you understand? When it comes to access to resources, generally speaking, that's not to say that women don't have money all the time, but generally speaking, more men have money to spend on this than women do. That is a huge challenge because without the resources, how do you go around? How do you talk to people? How do you engage people? Secondly, we have all these cultural norms, traditions that frown on women, taking up public office, being in the public space, for instance. And so all of that is also, inhibitory, where people are not so excited about it. And then there's also the culture of our politics, the fact that the politics is so toxic, politics of insults, politics and all of those things. Women tend to be more sensitive to the name calling and the false accusations and all of that. So there are all these obstacles that stand in the way of women. As much as possible, we must work together as a community to ensure that the represented cohorts actually look like those they are representing.
And one final leg would be the issue about choosing good leaders, which is part of the issues that you're concerned about. But we know that sometimes monetization plays a role.
Yes.
We don't have the evidence yet as to whether or not that's playing a role at the local level.
Yes.
But we want to avoid that.
We want to avoid that.
What's the message of the NCC?
We want to avoid that. In fact, last year, when we did our media engagement on Constitution Day, 7 January, we raised the specter of monetization on our politics as a threat to our democracy. It's not just a threat to women, it is an actual threat to the democracy because for one thing, the money that is floating around in politics did not fall off some trees. It came from some place. That money will return to that place by any means necessary. And so we can't continue to allow this undisclosed sources of cash that we find being shared over them. We can't continue to, it's not sustainable because at the end of the day, the money needs to go back to where it came from. Also, it defeats the whole purpose of the democracy because you are supposed to be identifying and electing people who can deliver for you. But once they are paying for it, the dynamic is changing. It's no longer they are coming to serve you, they are coming to generate income, you understand? So in that way, we actually defeat the entire purpose of going out of our way to, start a fourth republic, only to come 30 years later to be so heavily monetized in the practice of the democracy. And so that's how it's part of how it constitutes a threat and defeats the purpose of the whole democracy that we are practicing.
I see. What would be your message to Ghanaians as we look forward to the exercise and perhaps the aspirants who are also going into this year's election?
Well, to the aspirants, first, I want to congratulate them for stepping up, for being good citizens, because stepping up means that you've met all the criteria, including met all your tax obligations, the meaning that you are a good citizen. Putting yourself up for public office is not easy. So for them to step up and do that, we must respect them for that. We must congratulate them for that. Competition is also not easy because somebody will win, somebody will lose, And if you lose, I can imagine that it's not a pleasant feeling or a pleasant experience. So to that extent, kudos to those who have stepped up and want to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem or part of the complaint. part of the solution, meaning that I see the problem and I've talked about it, and finally I'm putting myself in a position to actually do something about it. So we must congratulate them for that and tell them to focus and keep going at it. And if you lose this time around, doesn't mean that next time around don't keep going. Keep going.
Yeah.
You know, and develop your public policy skills, develop yourself, and grow in governance. We need strong governance practitioners in our governance setup.
Indeed, we
for
do
the
need
citizens, like I've mentioned before, it is important to go find out who these people are. Find out who these people are, who will be managing the common fund that comes to your assembly.
And what promises they are making.
And what promises they are making. Hold them to account. More importantly, let them work for you. Find them so that you can have a relationship with them, so you can tell them your challenges, your problems in the district, and put pressure on them to deliver on their promise to serve you.
Indeed, that's the message. And in fact, if you lose, don't worry. Kathleen Adi is a mother figure. She will be welcoming you and of course, comforting you while you stand for another round of the elections. But we're grateful so much for spending some time with us. So we hope to see you again, of course, when the elections draw closer. And of course, a lot is happening already because constituents of the Himbronom North electoral area in the Ashanti region are lamenting the persistent practice of open defecation, exposing them to high health risk. Of course, community members say that the assembly over the years have failed to help them improve the situation. They believe electing a woman for the first time in the upcoming district level elections can improve their situation. Anita Sewa Ajagan engaged Hawa Mohammed on her chances as the first lady to contest in the district level elections. There's more.
Residents at Old Tafo Municipal Assembly bemoan the increasing practice of open defecation in the municipality due to lack of proper toilet facilities. One public toilet serves the municipality. Community members are disappointed with the lack of effort of assemblymen elected over the years to improve sanitation. They are hoping to elect a woman in the upcoming district level election for the first time to improve the sanitation crisis.
There's not enough public toilets in this neighborhood or this electoral area, and as a result of that, open defecation has been going on in this electoral area. If Honorable Hawa Mohammed is elected into office, I know her can do spirit, because even as her position right now, not even elected as any assemblywoman, or she's not even having any portfolio or any position, she's even fighting hard for us to get as much as more public toilets in this electoral area.
Nti ahokyere pa ye wa ahokyere pa wo toilet papa o mu no ba sore na polity na egugu wonim ho na polity na egugu efie nchen ya ne de egugu
the best year obetimi aboa ya solve our problem.
For the past 8 years, the current assemblyman hasn't been able to curtail open defecation.
Solve our problem so that to face our problem. But on any so who now you say obetimi solve our problem now.
The sanitation situation in Ghana is very poor, with only 25% having access to basic services. About 57% use shared or public facilities, and 18% still engage in open defecation. Poor sanitation conditions pose serious public health risk. According to the World Health Organization, 7,653 deaths in Ghana were caused by wash-related illness in 2019. Ahimbronom North electoral area is one of the communities practicing open defecation. Hawa Mohammed, the first lady to contest the district-level election in the area, plans to end open defecation at Old Tafo Municipal Assembly.
Not having a public toilet, if by the grace of God they vote me into the office, the first thing that I'm going to do is the public toilet for the neighborhood.
The Alliance for Women in Media is, however, worried about the low participation and representation of women in Ghanaian politics and governance, despite they constituting more than half of the country's population. Hawa Mohammed is hoping to change the narrative.
And the history of Ahimbronom, even the whole Tafo, I'm the first female who came out boldly to contest the assembly elections. I'm hoping by the grace of God, I'm going to win, inshallah.
For Joy News, Anita Sewa Joga's report read to you.
Well, Joy News has also been reaching out to more aspirants through our colleague Christian Abochi, who's been interacting with some aspiring assembly members, finding out their challenges ahead of this year's district level elections. There's more.
Goal here is to simply understand what their role is as assembly members, if they're able to fulfill them, why or what the challenges are in the course of executing their roles, and how we ensure that come 19th December, voters turn out to vote in the district level elections. Thank you, honorable members, for joining us for this brief conversation. Let's start simply with the question: what do you do as an assembly member?
My name is Honorable Nathaniel Welbeck. I think we implement the law, you understand. When you talk about development, we are supposed to make sure the electoral area is developed. But the question is, are the logistics available? Are the logistics available? That is a challenge. But we are trying our best. When we talk about electoral area projects, we have to push, we have to fight, we have to argue before you can even get one.
So it's not a situation of you are not doing the job. It's a situation of lack of resources.
Resources, you understand? The resources are not coming forth. You understand? But when you go to my electoral, for instance, Banana, we're looking for a footbridge. I've done it for them. Old Dansoman. We're looking for drains, you know, I've done it for them. When you go to Inkumpatoy, you understand, I've done it for them. When you go to Kamara last stop, I've done it for them.
How are you able to finance these projects? If you say you have done it, does it mean that the money did not come from government coffers?
Oh, of course. We have to push from the government, you understand. We really fought, you understand. For 4 years that we've been in office, we really fought for us to get even one. You understand? So we are trying our best.
I'll come to you again briefly.
The framers of the Constitution deemed it as an opportunity for us to also take development to the very barriers of the grassroots. But looking at how the implementation has been done, it looks like in one way or the other we've not been able to do it well as people, because you have the local person there who is not paid anything at the end of the month, but yet.
At all? I thought as assembly members you receive some allowances or salary. What does the funds that you get look like? Is it allowances on monthly basis, or how does it come in?
Okay, it's sitting allowance for meetings. So it means when you don't show up at a meeting, you don't get anything. So you can just imagine, because you are on 2 committees, most recently it's been increased to 3. And then when we joined the assembly from 2020, the money being given for a sitting allowance was around 236 cedi. Yeah. Until recently, before it was moved to like 400 cedi, just this year, latter part of this year. So you can just imagine.
And that's all the money you get?
Exactly.
No, so you don't have any monies for developmental projects and programs for your communities?
My brother made mention of electoral area projects, and even that, it doesn't come to you. You identify a challenge in your community based on your engagement with your community people. And then after you are done with your scale of preference, you select the one that is most pressing, and then you give it to the works department. And then they will come to the area to come and then execute the program for you. What you are able to do as an assembly member is your engagement with probably your external partners, probably friends, and if there's an NGO who is willing to come to an area to come in and support you, whatever you want to do in the area. And that is the only time you get to do something beyond what the assembly is able to do.
We are trying our best. Like my brother said, we have either external partners who normally comes in to support. So what I can say is, although the challenge is big, but definitely we will get there.
Typically, what is the range of budget allocated for these electoral area developments once per year? You don't have to mention the specific figure if you're not comfortable doing that, but what is the range that you usually receive?
Within 15,000 to 25,000.
The question about how you run campaigns, and I want to pose this to you because you haven't spoken in a while. How do you fund your campaigns? Is it partisan? Is it that you belong to a certain political party and they are funding your campaign because you directly or indirectly have a role to play in the selection of other leaders into the next level of local government? How do you fund your campaigns?
For me, it's a miracle, you know. It's a miracle, you know.
Please,
yes, we do have chiefs, we do have our brothers. And one thing that I normally do is to sometimes lobby, you understand, and it's helping me a lot. When we talk about political party, I don't think so.
Of course, expect that Joy News will definitely follow up on the district level elections and also do the build up for you to know more about the aspirants going into this year's election and bring you some updates. But it's time to talk education because the Ghana Education Service has set up a committee to investigate the head teachers interdicted for allegedly selling some unauthorized items to Form 1 students who are now being admitted into school. This comes after the service suspended about 11 head teachers for this alleged misconduct. According to the Ashanti Regional spokesperson for the Ghana Education Service, Henry Osei-Boateng, the committee has been mandated to investigate the allegations of wrongdoing against these head teachers. He says that the head teachers who are found guilty will be sanctioned as stipulated in the GES Code of Conduct.
Well, at the moment, there is a committee to investigate the report. And therefore, individuals were not asked about whether they are guilty or not, because that is the work of the committee. We deal with the Code of Conduct of Ghana Education Service. And within the Code of Conduct, there are sanctions for certain offenses. So if individuals are found culpable, then it means the sanctions appropriate will be meted to them.
Of course, that's the disclosure coming through from the Ashanti Regional Ghana Education Service. But CHAS and some other teacher unions are, of course, raising concerns with the approach in which the Ghana Education Service is dealing with all of these head teachers. Joining us now is Peter Nochukote, ranking member on the Education Committee in Parliament. He's joining us in studio now. Thank you so much, Honourable, for spending some time with us here on the polls. And I'm sure that you've been receiving a number of calls, petitions from teacher unions and even some of the groups that are on, the media asking that the Ghana Education Service changes its approach in terms of how they're dealing with this extra fee charges that are going on across the schools. First of all, what's your own investigation revealing to you about the circumstances under which some of these head teachers appear to be charging extra when indeed they should be having free senior high school?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Yeah, you will recollect that the free SHS program started in September 2017. And at the time of its inception, government decided that they were going to take up every responsibility on behalf of parents, and that what they needed to take to school were just their boxes, their pair of sandals and whatever, so they could just enter. At that time, some of us were very, very skeptical about its success, because we advised government that it would be very difficult to make everything for free, looking at the resources available to government and what education is costing this nation. So if you wanted to pay attention to only the secondary level, it was going to have effects on the basic education and tertiary education. They said we were doomsday sayers, but we told them that time will tell. And then years are rolling by. So those who went initially actually did not buy anything.
Yeah.
They were given everything, even the school cloth, they were given for free. School vests, they were given for free. School uniform, they were given for free.
Right.
Exercise books, everything. But in the last 3 years, things started to change because government was finding it very difficult to raise money to cover those things. You and I think we remember when we were in school. For the school cloth, we bought it.
Yeah.
School vest, we bought it.
Sometimes they add it to the prospectus
yes.
list. Right.
So we were buying all those things.
Right.
And our parents never complained. But this time, they have taken those things off the prospectus list. So my belief was that parents will have to buy those things for their wars. Now, they have gone to school, and then they need those things. For ceremonial purposes, if it is during sports, you need a tracksuit. Speech and prayers giving day, you need a school cloth, or any other thing that you need to use as a student. So if you look at the letters given to some of the heads of the institutions that were interdicted, you will realize that those things are there. As far as I know, parents will have to buy. Whether it was the cost or because they asked them to pay, that's why they are doing this.
But now government says, this is the free senior high school policy, and because it's free senior high school, everything has been catered for.
No, we should not be deceiving ourselves that secondary school education is free in this country. Parents are still contributing. What is free now is probably when you enter, you eat for free. If you're a boarder, you eat for the 3 times.
Yeah.
If you are a day student, it's once a day, that is lunch. All other things, parents are buying. You see, because government is unable to raise money to provide everything. And this is what we have been telling government for a very long time now. Let parents also contribute in a way. If it is 70 by government and 30 by parents, fair enough. That is the contribution parents can make. But if you are insisting that parents should not pay for anything, the materials that they need will not be provided. As we are talking now, suppliers who supplied school uniforms in 2021, 2022 have not been paid for the supplies.
As of now, as we speak.
As we speak. And they are always appealing to the Committee on Education that we should fight on their behalf. So things are...
Which means that government is already indebted to some of the suppliers.
Yes.
But then you want them to now relax the laws that will allow parents to now pay for some of the items.
Exactly.
But that's not what's happening, because even as we speak, we just heard from the Ghana Education Service point out that already some 11 head teachers, maybe it might be more nationwide, have been interdicted because they are charging extra fees. We've seen some memos already going around purporting to have, meted out some punitive measures to these head teachers.
Yeah, I am not against punishing any head of institution who goes against the instructions given them by the Ghana Education Service. But the manner in which the GS is handling the matter. You see, these are your employees. You have put them in sensitive positions to handle or manage a school on your behalf. If any of them should go wrong, the first thing you need to do is to call the person to your office. This is the report we have about you. What do you say? But before you realize, letters are flying on social media that they have been interdicted. Meanwhile, they have not even received the original copy of the interdiction letters. So they have handled the matter unprofessionally. You see? And you see,
what would have been the best approach? I guess the warning has been sent to all head teachers. Do not charge extra, even if you feel that you need some more funding.
You see, these are human beings.
Right.
And anything can happen. You see, this practice we are saying that they are selling those items.
Yes.
It's not limited to only the 11 schools that got their heads interdicted. Yeah. It is all over. Do you see? It is all over. So if the GS wants to do a good job, they need to step up their performance. See.
How should it have been done? Because I'm looking at for instance, some of the items that is being charged. These are largely, cutlasses, school cloth. These items can be provided for by government.
Yes, but the students are asked to provide those things. Mm-hmm. And I've been to a few schools where the students, they will inspect your list, and then those items which are for the school, they will take them.
Are you saying that the head teachers were helpless? They couldn't have found another way around?
No, it is in the prospectus. Right. And the prospectus is coming from GES. Do you see it? Yeah. That buy A, B, C, D, and bring to the school. So the parents don't have anything to do than to buy those items for their wards. Do you see it? But those that are outside the prospectus is where the challenge is. That why do you ask them to pay for school cloth? Why do you ask them to pay? But I know they have been buying those things. This is not the first time. You see, that's why I'm saying that the GS is not handling the matter professionally. Now, if they have done even anything wrong, call them to your office. No, Madam Headmistress, this is the report about you. Why? If he or she is unable to explain herself, then you can take any action against the person. You don't just, without listening to the person, then you write and say you are on interdiction. You see, the process or the action of the GS on this interdiction is becoming too many. It has become a rendition, and it is demoralizing.
Do you feel that, there's something at stake for government? Obviously, it should be the free senior high school policy, which government holds dear to its heart. The fact that this is the flagship program for government, and you've been calling for review, government says the project is okay. Do you feel that that's why we're seeing such an approach?
You see, firstly, government is unable to raise money to buy those or pay for those items that they are now asking the students or parents to pay for. As I said initially, they were paying for school vests, JCs and what? JCs and everything they were paying for, government was paying. But after the first 4 years, it is becoming difficult for government to pay because they are owing a lot of suppliers. I can tell you that the students who reported on Monday, 4th December, no money has followed them from government or the Ministry of Education to the schools to take care of them. So the school authorities have to look for resources. How they get it, we don't know, to be taking care of these students until when government brings money and when we don't know. Do you see it? Yeah. So the challenge that the heads of these institutions are facing is so great that they don't even have the mouth to talk. You see?
And that's where many say that you in the minority could, of course, bring about some level of intervention, the aspect of trying as much as possible to have, say, an engagement with the head teachers of the various schools, because the head teachers are key. CHAS already is raising concerns about the approach of interdiction and how their members are being targeted for charging fees simply because they need funding. Now that we're moving into this space where, of course, the SHS1 admission is pointing out and bringing up all of these challenges, what do you intend to do as the minority in Parliament? Have you started engaging, say, the teachers, the head teachers, and perhaps GES on this matter? What is likely to be that next line of action towards dealing with the challenge?
It will be difficult for them to meet with the minority. Mm-hmm. This is because any attempt by any heads of institution to talk even to the press without obtaining permission from the GES, that person is in trouble. Just last week, an assistant headmaster spoke to the press on the reporting day of first year students. You know, I raised that issue in the chamber. Yes. And because he made a comment and supported what the minority was saying, he has been transferred from that position to the regional education office. Do you see? So that level of intimidation is putting fear into them that they cannot talk to anybody and they will be afraid to meet the minority. We have been calling for a review of the program. That yes, when you are pursuing a program, you have implemented it. we all support it. But where we have reached now, let's review it and see how best it can benefit both the learners or the students and government. You are not ready to do so.
But this is where some say the policy itself has reached its elastic end. There can't be any alternative as of now because, yes, free is free. And if it should be free, it should be free for all. What kind of changes do you want to see as, the minorities handling Parliament?
No, you see, it is not only what we see, like, they feed the students and all those things. There are other things involved. If you go to some of the schools, even the payment for electricity is a very big challenge. Some teachers contribute money to pay for electricity so that at least the school can have a 24-hour electricity.
Right.
One secondary school in Greater Accra, last week, they had a water supply cut by Ghana Water Company because they owe over 1 million Ghana cedis.
1 million Ghana?
Yes. You see, and it's in, I think, Osudoku Senior High School. So, if government is unable to provide what they have promised to do, that is where the challenge is. And we have been asking government, let's call stakeholders to meet and we'll assess the program. See, when you are running the program and you don't review it, you will not know what challenges you have chalked and what successes you have chalked and what challenges are there for you to solve. See, when you are doing something, those behind you will say that, yes, you are doing well in this direction, but this one, you are not doing well. So can you do A, B, C, D? Right. Government is not ready for that. They think that the free SHS is their brainchild or their flagship agenda. So anything anybody is saying, they don't want to take it. And that is the biggest problem we have with the free SHS. You go to the schools now, furniture. I don't know if you listened to Charles yesterday. Right. And what Charles said is true. Furniture is not in the school or in the schools. They have broken down. And what is even annoying is that those who supply the furniture, very poor quality of furniture that they provide. So by the end of the academic year, it's broken down. You go to some of the schools, you see broken furniture packed somewhere, as if they are going to have a bonfire. You see, so the poor quality of materials that are even supplied to the senior high schools is also a big challenge and a cost to government. And we need to do something about those things.
Do you feel that, the admission timeline is also part of the challenge? Because I recall this became a matter of heavy debate on the floor of the House with you asking some questions and demanding answers from the education minister. You recall his answer to you, the fact that, well, this is just part of realigning the entire space. But some say that if we had, dealt with the readmission timeline, some of these challenges would have been, limited.
Yes. I don't know why the minister did not address that issue very well. All other countries in West Africa, the English-speaking countries that form the WAEC, they have changed to the old system. So for the past 2-3 years, or let me say 2 years, they have written the WASE. But Ghana, we are still writing what we call GASE, Ghana School Certificate Examination. It is not the international one. So it's just Ghana-based examination. Now, they all went through the COVID. But do you know why Ghana is unable to do so, to change to the old calendar? It is because we don't have the infrastructure in the senior high schools. What we have now is 1 in, 2 out. 2 in, 1 out.
Which is?
What is happening now?
Yeah.
Now, the first years have gone to school.
School, yes.
So the second and third year are home. Now, the third years will come on 2nd January. So it will be 2 in, 1 out. By 5th March, the first year group will go home. Then the second year group will come back.
Yes.
Do you see? Right. So it's either 2 in, 1 out, or 1 in, 2 out.
Right.
So we don't have the infrastructure. So the 3-year groups cannot come to school together in the double-track schools. They cannot. So we have advised government, complete all ongoing projects. And it is only through that you can change the calendar. Because if you change the program now, it said December. Last year they went in February.
Yes.
This time they have come in December. That's an improvement.
Right.
But is it all the 3-year groups? No. It is not even 2-year groups. It's only one. Now, next year, if the BEC takes place maybe in June or July, then that means maybe by October they can go to school. But the 3-year groups cannot go at the same time. So there's a need for the minister to come again. That yes, we have promised, but these are the measures we put in place. So when he came to the chamber to respond to my statement, he did not mention that. That was missing. And we did not want to open the statement to debate again. So he got away with it. So that is the challenge. It will be difficult for him or for the ministry to change the calendar for double-track schools next year, because all of them cannot be in school at the same time.
Unfortunately for you in Parliament, this session would have to go on a little break because of the Christmas festivities. What more, remedial measures do you intend to activate, at least in the very last few days before you go on break, just to try and deal with the concerns parents? I'm sure parents have been calling you, and some of the challenges that all of these head teachers are raising about quality in the schools.
Yes. You see, if you look at the calendar that they're operating now, especially the double-track schools are unable to do the number of weeks that they are required to do. Now, the first years have now entered. So they are going to do maximum 3 weeks. Right. Then they will go for Christmas and come back. Then they will do January, February. Then 5th March, they are gone. So that will be about 8 weeks, plus the 3 they are doing now, 11 weeks. By doing that, they have finished with a semester, which is just 11 weeks. Then they have finished the semester. Then they may come back around August. They'll go home for another 3 months, come back, and then June, July, September, they are gone. You see. So at the end of the academic year, they have not done the required number of weeks. By the calendar, they should do at least 32 to 36 weeks. Now, even the running semester, a semester lasts for 16 weeks.
So that's about 16
32,
plus.
32 weeks, yes.
Right. Short
weeks.
of what they require.
Yes. Mm-hmm. You see, but when you say they tell you that, oh, they make them to go to class early, they close late, and all those things. But the teachers who are teaching them are human beings. They are getting tired. That's why they were asking that.
And this is a feedback you get from the teachers?
Yes. That's why they were asking that they should be allowed at least this December to have a rest so that they can get their energies back, and then January, full swing. But the minister said no.
Well, the minister's explanation is, yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just land on that point.
Yeah, but when you go even to the non-teaching staff, who are always in the kitchen, and then the other auxiliary staff, they are working all year round. If it's not a double-track school, that one, they go on a bit longer holidays. But as for double-track schools, they don't rest. Now, they had a break on 28th November. Then 4th December, a new group of students have come. But you cannot stay home. You must come to work. And they will tell you openly that they are tired. They need rest. Since 2018, when they introduced this double track, they have not taken any good.
The Minister of responsible for education has been speaking on that, justifying the fact that quality is still guaranteed in spite of all of these challenges and setbacks that you seem to be pointing to. And in fact, he believes that he's on that agenda of enforcing transformational policy-led activities that will enhance Ghana's education sector. Is it the case that you do not agree with the minister on this?
If there is quality, as he is claiming, the universities will not be crying that the products of the free senior high school are giving them problems in academic work. Somebody has A1 in mathematics. He gets to the university, simple calculus, he can't do it. You see, and because they want to achieve results, then they do all manner of things to get those grades.
No, but that's not a fair assessment, is
Oh,
it?
I'm
Coming through from the minority. The facts bear them out.
Let me tell you something.
The results are coming. They're having outstanding performances, outstanding pass rates.
I am telling you.
These are facts, isn't it?
I'm telling you what is coming before the committee.
But facts are sacred, isn't it?
I'm telling you what is coming before the committee and what WAEC is going through to stem these malpractices. See, you go to some schools, especially the private ones, WAEC, they will not allow their officials to go to the examination center. So we're suggesting that they should even close down these centers so that if they are in Accra, they should go and write at the WAEC examination center. If they are in Kumasi or any regional capital, they all go to the WAEC hall and write the examination there next year for us to see what changes will come. So the results, you see them, but if you analyze situations, I can tell you somebody, you got very good results.
Right.
No, this one you have to go to university. Say, no. He wants to go to training college. That's College of Education.
Right.
Why? We know that some of them, I'm not saying all,
right.
Some of them, they got their results. I won't say even through the back door, but through cheating. And that is what we must make sure that we eliminate. And why I want to commend them in that direction, that they are doing very well. This year, I'm sure you saw what happened in the BEC, how they are cracking the whip. They should do it for the WASE too.
Okay, we need to go. But of course, are we expecting that you'd be engaging, the sector minister in the coming days, so just to iron out all of these issues and also to put before him the concerns that teachers and these headmasters through CHAS are raising?
Oh yeah, tomorrow I am sure the committee is going to have a meeting with all the agencies under the Ministry of Education. Their estimates have come before us.
Okay.
The committee will have to recommend to the plenary that these are the estimates we have gone through, and these are our recommendations. Yeah, so the minister must come tomorrow before the committee and then defend the budget or the estimates. And a lot of questions will arise. And I'm sure this issue of interdiction, although it's not the financial matter, but it will come up.
You feel he should be answering questions?
Yeah, we'll ask him.
How is that related to, matters of finance?
Oh, anybody has anything to... because if you come and they say, okay, free SHS budget, we'll ask you questions. And a question on this can come up. If you say you are going to spend so much on free SHS this year, what are the components? Break it down for us. This time, we have told them we are not going to take a bulk estimate. We must break it down. How much is going into feeding? How much is going to stationery? How much is going for maybe electricity, or that is utilities?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll ask them to explain those things for us. So we are also going to demand that they provide us annual audit reports, because we have approved money for you for some time now. We want to see your audit report on your expenditures before we recommend for approval of their estimates.
And one more time on the issue about, the extra charges. Are you going to implore the minister to at least allow the head teachers to, make some extra charges if all of the breakdown details you'll be requesting from him tomorrow are not provided for?
No, that will not be for the committee to do. It is the minister or the GES who must do that. Right. And where we find out that it is not enough, probably we will make our recommendations.
And we're grateful. We'll definitely be watching all of those activities in Parliament. Peter Nochukoto is the ranking on the Education Committee in Parliament. Thank you so much, sir, for spending some time with us here on the Joy News channel. And you're watching The Pulse. We're taking a break, but when we get back, we'll tell you more about what's happening around the country. Please stay. And in today's series of Hope, we'll tell you the remarkable resilience of Clement, a 61-year-old man who has not allowed his visual impairment to hinder his ability to provide for himself. Well, Peter Senu has been telling that story.
Kitulikpe Kukrantumi in the Gwan district of the Oti region, where Clement, against all odds, from age 15, is hoping things would turn out better for him someday. He says only 2 of his other 5 siblings could see. The rest 4 of them have had to endure with visual impairment for the rest of their lives. Now, at age 61, Clement lives a solitary life in this house. A death trap, I should say, because the mud ceiling keeps dropping off on him due to perforated roofing sheets that leak badly anytime it rains. His companion, this radio set, keeps him abreast of current affairs.
46054348.
Despite his visual impairment, he has over 3 acres of cocoa farm and at least 4 ropes of maize farm to his credit. He leads me to his farm. After over 30 minutes, we are in his farm. And a cottage, I must add. Before he gets to his farm, there is this dangerous crossing. My name is Clement Yao Ata. I am 61. 5 women were with my father, but my mother had 6 of us. I am the eldest, but only 2 among us could see. The rest 4 of us have visual impairment. My grandfather, which is my father's father, had same challenges with his eyes, so I don't know if it is hereditary. But we used to see. I was seeing until age 15. It just started gradually and worsened. He says finance is his immediate challenge, as he could not do much this year due to lack of funds. My health became a challenge at a point, coupled with finance and how to feed myself. I have maize, but how to get the rest of the ingredients to have a good meal is a challenge. Sometimes I cook apple and add salt and eat, and sometimes I mash it and take it in. Sometimes some people sought me out with food. One of my friends even asked me to be taking supper in his house. He has been providing me with dinner since 2015. Theft of his produce is another challenge he lamented. He says some unscrupulous persons steal his farm produce, including harvested cocoa beans. They steal my cocoa beans, plantain, cassava, and even fowls I used to rear here. He says he has depended largely on the benevolence of other people to survive, including feeding and clearing of his farm. Victor is one of the neighbors on the farm. He says they have to help him with the clearing sometimes.
Foya
is like a father to us in the bush. We come to stay with him, to make him happy and help him clear his farm. I was going to my father, but have to stop by and spend some time with him. Clement demonstrates how he takes care of his farm. He feels the weeds with his hand to be sure he is not cutting down his cocoa seedlings. Yes, it is weed. It is weed. But what do his immediate neighbors have to say about him? Daniel is one of them.
I know him as a disabled man. And secondly, at the same time, he worked hard. He used to farm. He has a cocoa farm. And even sometimes I would doubt how he's able to plant the cocoa. And when the cocoa, the farm is bushing, how he used to clear it. So one day I asked him that how did he manage to weed under the cocoa? But the man told me that he used his hand to touch the leaves. So that will let him know that this is cocoa and this is glass. So this man, I cannot tell, I can't say it because he's a wonderful worker. Wonderful, very wonderful. He cannot see, but always hardworking man.
But what is motivating him to keep striving? I asked. I have the hope that one day my situation will get better. My prayer and supplication to God is that He should help me and grant me the desires of my heart. My greatest desire is to build a house. If I get my house, then I can think of marriage. Of course, I wish to get married. As for the women, they are available. If I do not have a decent place to live, how can I take care of my wife and children? Those are the things I am considering, which is why it seems I do not care. For his wishes to come to reality, we must support him. Peter Sanu for Joy News.
An inspiring story there. Well, he thought that he had lost his long-cherished dream of studying abroad at one of the best universities in the world, and that had ended in 2019 when he lost his father some months before the final examinations. But fate had a different script for the life of a 20-year-old Ebenezer Che. 4 years later, he has won $2 million worth of scholarship from 6 best universities in the world. He chose Harvard University after he also got admission into Yale University, California Technology Institute, and 4 other top universities. Eben says he is determined to bring about some changes in the technology space in Ghana and Africa after his studies. Maxwell Agbaba has more in this report.
As at now, it's exit look. But as it goes into the market and you are realizing profits, you are trying to upgrade it into a boarding way.
Ebenezer Che, when I met him 4 years ago during the National Science and Maths Quiz competition, he had co-founded Exiatlog, an app that helps in keeping and managing the issuance of exits in senior high schools. The app replaces the age-old paper-based exits. Ebenezer had just lost his father and was also disappointed he couldn't make it into the NSMQ team of Presec Legon.
It was really a shock. I felt that my dreams were crashing because even the junior high school I attended in Akuse, it's called Akuse International School, and then it's really expensive. So he wasn't too wealthy that much, so he was really trying his best to give me the best academic experience. So even at that point, I mean, the school fees was even more than his salary. He managed to. I tried, so they called for the test. We called it the Brella test. So I wrote. So we were about 600 science students or so. So we wrote. I was shortlisted for the first 20, and then we wrote again first 13, and then top 10 or so. Yeah. Then after that, the final test, they wanted to take 6 students, and then I ranked 7th on the test. So I was just under the line. Yeah, it really got to me, but then I channeled that disappointment to I was like, maybe programming is yours, so just focus on that.
When Eben lost his father, He thought his long-cherished dream of studying in a top university abroad had been shattered. But an interaction with the founder of the Cordon Foundation, Selom Abedu, changed his life. Eben is now in his first year at Harvard University studying computer science.
My experience at Harvard University has been a very wonderful one, and the only challenge here is the academics, which is quite rigorous. But then mechanisms have been put in place to ensure that we excel at academics. For instance, the class sizes are very small, which ranges from about 8 to 15 students per class. And with this, you're able to develop an interpersonal relationship with your professor, and the professor is able to know your strengths and your weaknesses and help you adjust with the new environment. And also, there's they are very much focused on collaboration. So you realize that when you are solving your problem sets, which is like homeworks in the Ghanaian context, you get to collaborate with your friends to help you think through the process. Now, with the new environment, the only different thing here is the weather and food. But then, yeah, I'm trying to adjust a bit. And what I miss back home definitely is the Ghanaian food and friends and family.
Ebenezer is just one out of the many young Ghanaians who have benefited from the guidance and support of Selom Promise Abedu's Cordon Foundation. The foundation is helping young Ghanaians, some of them from deprived homes, to get into the best universities in the world.
Enoch Danso.
Okay, which secondary school?
I went to Pope John Senior High School. I always knew I wanted to go abroad for my studies. I didn't get the opportunity to go to the university because of the finances and all that. So I was just home trying to find my way with the application. I didn't have any assistance, so I just Googled like how to write essays, how to study for the exam. Like just Google almost every day, like 2 a.m. all the time. I was so obsessed. I found a job. I was working as a teacher, and then part-time, I took Susu part-time. So yeah, so during that time, I was like, if I don't do it again, I would have to teach and do Susu for the rest of my life. So I just did it. So I met Selom, the founder of Cordon, and then he was like, oh, that's not a problem. He will help me. He will give me the materials and everything. So he sent me the materials to prepare, to learn for the SAT, and then he also paid for the application. When the scores came out, I got the 1440, and then I did ED. Early decision application to Cornell University, and then God being so good, I got in. Yes.
Selom says his foundation wants to create a new wave of young leaders who are breaking all barriers to study in the top universities in the world.
I realized that there's a big gap that exists between the privileged and underprivileged when it comes to accessing higher education. In simple terms, financial constraints have prevented a lot of people to be able to go to school and achieve their dreams. As I've already mentioned, we are looking forward to supporting thousands of students from underrepresented areas, and we will need more funding to be able to achieve this. Therefore, we are appealing to benevolent people and organizations to be able to achieve this dream.
Since its establishment in 2021, the Cordon Foundation has helped over 100 underprivileged students gain admission to various top-ranked institutions including Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Caltech, UPenn, Brown University and Cornell.
And Maxwell Aguilar with that story. South African Afropop singer Zahara, whose soaring voice and her multiple platinum-selling albums in her home country, South Africa, has died at the age of 36. The Lollywood hitmaker died at a hospital in Johannesburg Monday night after battling with liver disease. My colleague Jacqueline Ansmayabwa captures her last minutes. And we say, may her soul rest in perfect peace. But that's all we have for you in this package of The Pulse. I'm blessed to go log on to myjoyonline.com. We have updates there for you. Top story there talking about the Speaker and the creation of the Office of the Special Prosecutor and pointing out that the establishment of the office was an act in futility. You might want to get more there at myjoyonline.com.